Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Stephanie Rudine, the Director of Donor Engagement at the ALS Association Oregon and Southwest Washington chapter. Thank you for joining us for an ALS community chat. This is going to be a monthly series where we have conversations with people within our ALS community on different topics. I'm excited because we have some special guests today. I want to thank Kevin Wright. He's one of our board members for joining us today to help facilitate this conversation. I also want to thank Debbie and Pat, who are here today. Pat's living with ALS, and Debbie is his loving wife and caregiver. Today, they're going to be discussing their experiences living with ALS, as well as attending ALS clinics with Kevin. So I'm actually going to take a step back and just let Kevin, Pat, and Debbie have this conversation. I'm going to turn it over to you, Kevin, and thank you so much, Pat and Debbie, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Stephanie. Good afternoon, everybody. As Stephanie mentioned, I'm Kevin Wright. I'm on the ALS board, have been for a few years. My connection to ALS is my mom had ALS and passed in 2013. And so I'm in that community. I'm part of this community, and I'd like to stay engaged. And I'm excited to be here today and talk to Pat and Debbie and find out a little bit more about their story. And maybe I'll just kick it over to you guys and maybe just introduce yourselves.
Go ahead, babe.
I'm Pat Knight, and this is my beautiful wife, Debbie. So
Pat was diagnosed in 2017, so that's in February will be 3 years. And
thank you. So I have some questions, and we'll see with the time we have if we're able to get through them. But the first question I wanted to ask you guys is directed at Pat. Pat, maybe you can tell me a little bit about your journey to your ALS diagnosis.
So it's kind of been going on longer than 3, because for years I had leg cramps and like every night, and I just thought I overworked. And then one day I was at work carrying a bunch of conveyor links, and I went up a stair and my leg gave out, so I knew something was wrong. And we went to the doctors, and they started doing several tests, and I don't know, about a month or so, a couple months
at least
it took. And the doctor told me, well, I think you have ALS. So that brought me right back to a few months ago. I stayed up super late and I watched the Gleason show, and because I didn't even know what ALS was at first, but as soon as he said that, it clicked, and I just thought of that movie, which is, I think everybody should watch that movie. It's
actually is what it is Team Gleason.
Yeah.
And it's about I believe it's Steve Gleason who was diagnosed with ALS, and he is a football player, and he also offers a lot of assistance to ALS patients. So they're pretty awesome people as well. Good movie to watch if you have ALS for sure, or have friends that have it.
Yeah, that one's been around a while. I watched it when it first came out. What is it? Is it 3 or 4 years old, that one? It's been a while since I've seen it.
Yeah, it was weird that Pat had watched it right before he got diagnosed with ALS.
Right.
He watched it by himself. I
stayed up at night, crying my eyes out at this guy, and
then he ends up with ALS.
yeah, so
it was crazy.
I just remember sitting out in the parking lot after I got out of the doctor's and just thinking about it, and like, well, here's our journey, and let's see what we can do. So we kind of made the best of everything. It's all you can do.
I know you guys, when we chatted the other day, you had mentioned one of the first moves was, I don't know the order, but maybe you can speak a little bit about, I remember an RV trip and a visit or two to Belize.
Yeah, when he first got diagnosed, we've been to Belize several times, and I use any excuse I can to go. And that was, another excuse. So we took our granddaughter, she was 9, and we took her to Belize.
Yeah.
And then we got home and bought a motorhome and decided to travel. And we traveled for 2 years pretty much, going to all the national parks. We went from Oregon to Florida and hit all the national parks and monuments, and came home last November, and we've been here ever since. So our traveling days are now over, but we were able to do it in the beginning. As soon as he found out he was diagnosed, he quit working, and we just started making the best of it, doing as much as we could.
I love that you made the most with a really bad hand.
That's all we got, right?
Right.
Find your peace, and
you gotta do what you can. So there's a question for both of you. I know that you all attend the ALS clinic at OHSU. Can you tell me a little bit about an average clinic day?
You want me to?
Yeah.
They're kind of a long day, but the benefit is that you get to see all the doctors at one time. You get to see an occupational therapist, a physical therapist, respiratory, the neurologist, the nutritionist, social workers. So you sit in a room and everybody comes to you, and it all happens in one day. So, you might have to give up that day, but you're not constantly going to appointments because you get it all done at once. And then you do it like every 3 months. And it's been very beneficial to us.
That's
yeah,
great.
everybody's great. And like I said the other day, there's always, you want to hear this little hope, but it's it is what it is. But yeah, it's not really too long a day, but it's nice seeing everybody. It's nice seeing the same people, because you get a little personal with them, and yeah, they've been very, very helpful.
Nice to have all that expertise around you in one spot, I'm sure too. I'm sure there's many questions that are surfacing on a regular basis.
That's
right.
it.
And try to write them down and take them with you, because then you get
not forget them before you
yeah.
Why do you guys think the ALS clinics are important for people living with ALS?
To keep updated on any medications, learn about new trials that they're doing. And we actually chose not to participate in any trials, and because we didn't want to be committed to anything, we wanted to do whatever we could while we could. And so he was not involved in any of the trials. But I don't know, I just think it's important to keep updated on any new developments or that comes out with ALS.
We did the AMX
035
335 or 35, and it was phenobutyral and what's the other one?
Tutica.
So that seemed pretty promising. So we tried that for several months, and it just got too expensive, and I didn't really see a notice out of it. So we kind of decided to quit that one. And yeah, other than that, we're just kind of day by day in it now.
Right. Can you speak a little bit about some of you kind of, I think in the earlier question you spoke to some of the specialists you see there, but maybe so what kind of, maybe just articulate a little bit about what kind of specialists that you see when you go to these meetings?
You see the occupational therapist, and they help you, if you're having trouble holding on to a fork or spoon or whatever your needs are, they try to help you out. Physical therapists are there, the respiratory therapists, so they keep track of his lungs and the progression of losing the ability to breathe, I guess. And you see the neurologist, nutritionist. The ALS Association is also there. they've been involved in every one of the sessions that we've been at. So that was nice. And there's social workers there, and just,
So if I need something, they're like very helpful.
yeah, the ALS Association has actually been super helpful to us. And I would recommend them to anybody with ALS needs to get hooked up with you guys right away, because we couldn't have done the things that we've done without it. So equipment gets expensive.
Yeah.
And the ALS Association's always been there to help in any way that they can.
And I know, I remember when we were dealing with it in my family, the borrowing closet, or to be able to borrow stuff that, you might not need it for a while. I remember that being pretty helpful.
Yeah,
It's very helpful.
It's very helpful. And the ALS Association gal had came out here and interviewed us and looked at the house, and she says, you need a bath buddy. And we didn't even know what a bath buddy was, We're like, okay, well, he didn't need it now, but he was going to need it. So she reserved it and, made sure that he had it out here and stuff long before we needed it. So it's like they know what we're going to need before we do.
Right. And I think that's one of the benefits. And I know when we were talking before, Pat, you had mentioned your background in fabrication, and, able to MacGyver some things on your own over there based on needs that you had at the time.
Yeah, because once I've lost my legs, and it seems like you lose your dominant muscles first. So I used to be right-handed. Now I'm left-handed. And now that my legs are going, we got a couple little cranes that helps me get in and out of bed. And then I got one for the tub.
But he's designed these. He's designed them, and the one above our bathtub and above the toilet, he's designed himself and had his friend build.
Which was super nice because they powder coated them, and yeah. One of my best friends has a fab shop, so
I'd love to see. I mean, we can't do it now, but after this, I'd love to see some of your creations.
Absolutely.
Maybe we can manufacture these for others that need them down the road.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, they worked well. I don't know. I couldn't lift him. He's 250 pounds, It takes everything I have just to help him in the, to get the lift on and that. So I wouldn't be able to do it without these tools, without the equipment.
I'm imagining one of those lifts that pulls an engine out of a vehicle. So for some reason.
And it looks like it.
It's actually like, if you think of think of a meat, how they slide the meat, big sides of beef on a track. It's kind of like that, but with the lift that we got cheaply on Amazon, because if you go to any website that's for moving people, the price just skyrockets, right?
Yeah.
So I got these lists for like $200. Well, most of these sites to lift people want thousands of dollars, and people can't afford that. So it'd be nice to share this with other people.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to look at that. Maybe there's a way we can kind of develop some plans and put them out so people can create their own.
There you go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because it didn't cost that much to build, but if you went to buy one, it'd be thousands of dollars.
Exactly. You shared a little bit about the different types of services and specialists that you see at the ALS. What do you feel has helped at the clinics? What has helped you the most, do you feel?
Talking to the neurologist, and we've gone through a couple neurologists lately, but they just have good insight for us, and they kind of let us know what's coming, because this is a whole new road to travel on, and just like when I go in and they do my breath, how much I can blow, and last time it went down quite a bit, so I had to get a BiPAP machine, and that's been helping me sleep. So
Been helping him breathe.
Yeah. And then it has a cough assist. So it's just all these people with all this knowledge that just kind of helps you with this journey, right? And yeah, the physical therapist,
And right now, to be honest with you, the physical therapist and the occupational therapist have been coming out to our house weekly so that he's doesn't have to wait all that time to see them because his needs have increased. And so now we don't see them at the clinic any longer, but they come here to the house. So
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it is.
And when we were talking earlier, you had I think you had shared a story about just how the team is so receptive. I think you tell the story. I'm not going to remember it, but about leaving a message and getting calls back. I think it was someone from the clinic. Just their responsiveness to you guys when you're reaching out.
Well, I know with OHSU, we just email them, and I mean, they're really good. They get back to you that day or the next day with whatever you need. They're really responsive. So we've had.
And that's nice because any waiting game,
Yeah, when you have ALS, I don't think you should wait for anything. I mean, that's just my opinion, but you don't have time to wait.
Right. And it's nice to be thinking ahead. Like you don't want, you need to be one step ahead as far as your prep. And
always.
So,
yeah.
And it really helps. I don't know. I try to just find my inner peace and keep plugging along, I guess you can say, because, you could be miserable or you could just deal with it. And yeah, there's a lot of things I wish I could do now, but either I MacGyver it or my granddaughter helps me, or, it's good to have help.
Yeah.
Like I've always said, I couldn't imagine somebody doing this by themselves.
No.
And if there is, I hope they reach out because I just couldn't imagine this journey without the people to help. Does that make sense?
Oh, totally. And just in talking with you, I'm really I'm impressed with your ability to see the silver linings in a very extremely tough situation. Trying to find the positive wherever you can. I'm really impressed with the way you're able to do that.
Yeah, he's better at it than I am.
She's my little warrior, and
he's the mellow one.
Yeah.
He tells me how blessed we are, and that he could have died of a heart attack or whatever, and I can see it, and I know we wouldn't have been able to do the things that we've done without him getting ALS. I know that sounds crazy, but it's the truth.
We would have never,
we would have never bought a motor home and traveled all over, so.
Yeah,
it is what it is.
It is a silver lining in a strange way, but I love that you guys can find that stuff. It's funny, you're making me think back. I remember my mother, when she had it, she was always making everybody else feel okay. She always just said, everything's going to be fine. That's what she used to say.
That's Pat. That's Pat.
Like, you have ALS. Oh, it's going to be fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Yeah, that is totally Pat.
Well, what advice would you give someone newly diagnosed with ALS?
Do whatever you can as quickly as you can.
Yeah.
Well, you can.
Just get out and do it.
Anything that you wanted to do in your life, do it. Don't let anything stop you. Make it happen. If you wait, you might not be able to.
That's true.
I think that's what we did, and that's helped us a lot.
And the support group, I got a couple of friends that have actually been on this ride with me, and
wouldn't have been able to do it without Rick. That's for sure. Rick's a good buddy, and he helps us a lot. We we were able to go on a trip this last year. A few months ago, we went to Bozeman Hot Springs in Montana. We just did a road trip. You know, we didn't have any real destination. Well, we had a destination. We just didn't know how we were going to get there. And Rick and his girlfriend came with us, and he has traveled with us to help Pat, and wouldn't have made it possible if it wasn't for him.
Or my brother's, you know,
Or
my
his
brother
brother.
comes up and he picks me up like I'm a rag doll, so that's kind of nice. You know?
There's not too many people that can pick Pat up, but Rick and Brian can both pick him up.
Well, it sounds. I
Yeah.
actually received a comment from Stephanie saying, I can't see any comments or anything, but it sounds like there's a lot of folks. You've got a good network of support and friends and family that are
We do.
barely watching this. So
We're
I hope
blessed,
I'm providing a good interview here. But it's
So we're blessed.
that's probably one of the most important things is that you've surrounded yourself with a lot of people. Because it takes that's what it takes.
Yeah, it does.
Well, I have one last question if you're up for it.
Sure.
What would you like those who are unfamiliar with ALS to know about the disease?
That sucks, but
Probably the worst disease that you could possibly imagine. And not enough people are aware of it. There's just not enough research into it. And I didn't know what ALS was when he was diagnosed with it. I had no idea. I heard of the ice bucket challenge, but you know, I think it's really important for people to watch that Gleason movie. That'll give you a real eye opener as to the life of ALS. It sucks, but you gotta make the best of it.
yeah.
It sure will. And but beyond the clinics, that's what drives me is talking with folks like yourself, and drives me to participate and be on the board, whether it's supporting the clinic work or the research work, or like you said, just bringing awareness to the disease, because we could use all the help we can get to get rid of this thing. And so I appreciate
Absolutely.
you guys taking the time and putting yourselves out there and sharing your story. I know it's not easy.
Well, we appreciate you guys as well, because I'll tell you what, and I'm not saying this because of who you are, but truthfully, the ALS Association, I don't know what we would have done without you guys. Seriously, you've been amazing.
Well, I appreciate that. Being on the board for a few years, I can justify that the people that are on this board truly care. Everyone's been impacted one way or another. So, and especially the staff, they really pour their heart and energy into the work of trying to help folks like yourself just manage this tough situation. So, thank you for that. Thank you for that.
That's what you really feel at the clinic. Is like a nurse just doesn't come in. They come in and everybody cares, and that's a good feeling. Instead of like just going to a normal doctor and takes your blood pressure and gives you a little spill and walks out. These people actually care and
know what you're going through.
Yeah, so it's definitely heartwarming. Like I said, you always have that hope, but it's still nice to see everybody.
That's nice to hear. Well, those are the questions. I don't know if you have anything else you'd like to add. The floor is yours. We're actually pretty much out of time, but if there's anything else you want to add, it's your show.
I really want to know, like, if anybody's out there that is fighting this battle by themselves, He's really into helping people. I mean, believe it or not, he's the one that needs the help, and he wants to help others. So if you do know anybody that's single, that's living alone, battling ALS, he would love to hook up with them and help. Or if you're watching this, find somebody, help them,
Yeah, and I know that's part of the mission of the ALS team is, reaching out as soon as we know that someone has a diagnosis. So if they are if they are alone, hopefully the services that the ALS group provides, we can support those. But Pat, your invitation is out, I guess, on the World Wide Web. So we'll see what happens.
Hey,
You're going to be fabricating some lists here.
Yeah, he likes to text message. He likes talking to people. That's what he does. So
Well, in the short time I've spent with you guys, I can tell that you have really big hearts. And I think, I don't know if there's science behind it, but I've seen it day in and day out. It's a weird thing, but it's the nicest people, unfortunately, that get ALS. So,
right. There's a lot of people.
Stereotype.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I don't understand why Pat, because he is one of the nicest people. And that's the way it works. Is the nicest people get this. I don't get it.
Not right.
It's not fair. And I'm sure your mom must have been really nice too, because her name was Debbie.
Yep, sure was. Well,
Kevin, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you both for sharing your story. I really enjoyed chatting with you.
You bet. And hey, I'll send you some pictures of those lifts.
Yes, please do. I want to see them. And if you don't have my contact, Stephanie, you can get that stuff, my contact through Stephanie. Maybe a couple pictures of the ducks too.
Oh, okay. You got it. They're doing great. First night alone out there in the creek, and I went down this morning, and they were happy, swimming around. They were in heaven.
Good to hear.
Got to watch out for those eagles.
Yeah. But thank you very much, you guys.
You bet. Thank you, guys.
All right. Have a good one.
Take care.